What's good, car family? What's good, everyone? Wanted to talk a little bit today about something that's like been on my mind almost every day, and I never have time to do videos like this. And man, I watch all of these sports talk shows, and they talk about this subject, and I'm like, man, I wish I could call in. Maybe you can, but I can't because I don't have time. But wish I could call in and refute what they're saying, or at least ask them to clarify. And in this case, it's about Lamar Jackson. And in particular, if you ever watch I Am Athlete, it's Brandon Marshall, his thing, and he's got a new version of that, a spinoff of that called Paper Route, I believe it's called, and it's him and a couple other people, this girl that's on there, and man, they go so hard for Lamar Jackson that you literally would think they were his family. And I get it from a player perspective, like a player wanting to defend another player in his position with a team, but I don't really get it from a truth telling position. So I wanted to share what I think I know and what I'm hearing, and see if anybody else knows something different or understands this differently than I do, because I'd like to know what I'm missing here. The only thing I ask is that if you disagree or you have a different take, please give me a link. Like, give me the information. Don't just come on here and tell me your opinion. Like, give me a link. I need concrete information. So the way I understand it is that the Ravens have put the non-exclusive franchise tag on Lamar Jackson, which allows them to pay him the market value of, quarterback under the franchise tag. However, if another team wants to make him a better offer, they can. And for Jackson to leave and take that offer, that other team would have to give up 2 first-round picks. So to me, it's a win-win for the Ravens. And some people don't see it this way, but I do, because the Ravens are saying, yeah, we're not going to pay you what you want, and if you can get what you want, if you can get that contract you want, take it, but we're going to get something for you, and that being 2 first-round picks, which, Lamar Jackson is a dynamic quarterback. He's a great quarterback, but I think that 2 first-round picks, it would be at least some compensation for him. So to me, that is the Ravens with the leverage, because, Lamar reportedly wants big-time guaranteed money. He wants fully guaranteed money. He wants Deshaun Watson money plus $1, fully guaranteed, which is unprecedented, except for, of course, in the Deshaun Watson case, where the Cleveland Browns broke the narrative and went full rogue in this contract with Deshaun Watson. So now, Jackson wants that to be the market, which I get it, but I don't think the rest of the NFL wants that to be the market. And so yeah, the issue is the fully guaranteed part. And my understanding is that the Ravens offered Lamar a contract prior to the 2022 season. And that's one of the things that drives me so crazy about this, is that I hear all of these commentators, Lamar laid it on the line. Lamar was so loyal. He's done everything for this team. He saved Jim Harbaugh's job. He did all of these things without money in mind, right? He did it all. He sacrificed, and he didn't mention a word of his contract. He just played. But the Ravens offered him, to my understanding, 5 years, $250 million, $133 million guaranteed, all right, prior to the start of last season. That's That's money. That's the second most money ever offered to anyone in NFL history. All right, now it's not fully guaranteed, it's not fully guaranteed, but it's $50 million a year. Okay, and Lamar turned that down. And when asked about that contract, when asked did he turn down 5 years, $250 million, his response was fully guaranteed? ? So I don't get where everyone is saying the Ravens are taking advantage of Lamar. Like, the Ravens offered him a perfectly appropriate contract. And Lamar said no. You know, and the way I see that is Lamar gambled on himself. Nope, I'm not going to take it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to come out, I'm going to play balls out, and I'm going to show everybody, right? Well, what did he do? He came out and he got hurt again. And keep in mind, they offered him this contract coming off of injury. So the previous year, he spent the last, 4 or 5 games on the bench, hurt. He comes into 2022, says no to the contract. Pause 1 second. Says no thanks to the contract. Plays, and gets hurt a little over midway through the season. Sits on the bench, watches the Ravens lose, miss out on the playoffs with a backup quarterback. So now, as this guy that's been hurt the last, third of your career, you're wanting fully guaranteed money. Your quarterback, who's known for making plays with his legs more so than being a passer. I've heard people say, well, nobody says that about Josh Allen, and he runs as much as Lamar Jackson. I agree to a point. I don't think he runs quite as much as Lamar Jackson, but he does run a lot. But Josh Allen has also shown the ability to pass for 4,000 plus yards and 35 plus touchdowns every year, where Lamar, he hasn't shown that yet. Granted, he doesn't have Stephon Diggs, so that's the other thing. Well, they never give Lamar any weapons. But that's kind of my thing. And now I'm hearing that Lamar has gone public, and he's gone public and basically said that he's demanding a trade from the Ravens, which again, whether the Ravens wanted to trade him or not, who would be the trade partner to that? Because the Ravens are going to want what? At least 2 first-round picks, I would think, right? I mean, they're going to want at least that. Maybe even more. I don't know. What did the Broncos give up for Russell Wilson? What are the Jets going to give up for Aaron Rodgers? And then, in addition to those picks, you've got to leverage your entire franchise to pay this guy's salary. So I don't see how that could happen, and I don't see what he gains by coming out and publicly saying this, other than making himself look bad. And I understand that he's his own agent. You know, he's basically trying to fight the NFL as his own entity, and he's trying to be this trailblazer. And I could see it, but I don't know that he has the people have his back, because I hear the media has his back, but I don't know that the fans and general public agrees with his premise. And I guess that's my other question with this is, what does everybody else think about this? Like, is Lamar right? Did the Ravens do Lamar wrong? Am I missing something? You know, did they do him wrong by offering him, unprecedented money to a guy that was hurt, to a guy that hasn't really won in the playoffs, to a guy that hasn't really even performed that great in the playoffs? Everybody stood on the top of the roof and screamed, and I don't want to make this about the Dallas Cowboys, but when Dak Prescott got, $40 million a year, which now 2 years later, like I said would happen, guys are blowing that out of the water, and wanting fully guaranteed contracts. I said Dak's contract would look like a deal in a couple years. Well, if you got a problem with paying Dak that money, how are you comfortable paying Lamar that kind of money? I'm not seeing it. So that's kind of what I want. If anybody's watching this, chime in and let me know what you think. What do you think about Lamar? And I'm going to throw one more thing in here too. And this might bug a few people. It might bug a few of you, but I'm just being honest. I think some of the anti-Lamar stuff, because I'm definitely not anti-Lamar, but there is those out there that are anti-Lamar. And I do think some of it is race. I think it's a race thing. I think there's a lot of people that are anti-Dak Prescott, and I think it's race. I can't understand any other thing when you watch Dak play versus say Cooper Rush, and people are clamoring for Cooper Rush to be the starting quarterback, other than it's just race. And I see it a lot with black quarterbacks and black athletes in general. When everything's going perfectly, a lot of people will be on board for them, but one little slip up, one little thing that goes outside of the narrative that a certain segment of fan bases wants them to be, and they'll lash out against them. And I know it happens. I'm sure it happens to white athletes too, but I do think there's a connection between especially black quarterbacks and black superstars like your LeBron James and Michael Jordans. I think there's some racism that goes along with that. And I'm not saying everybody, I'm not saying anybody watching this video feels that way, but I definitely think there's a segment of our society that, Cam Newton, that doesn't like to see people of color succeed or have a voice other than exactly how they want that voice to be represented. So I think that's worth throwing in with this Lamar Jackson scenario, is there is a race thing to it. I don't think there's a race issue when it comes to the Ravens. I could be wrong. I don't think it is. But as NFL fans go, or fans in general, I think race definitely plays a part in that. And again, I don't want to seem like I'm pointing fingers at anybody in the community or raising any kind of red flags about the community. I'm sure as hell not. But, if you go in the comment section any day on social media and read some of the comments, you'll clearly see it. And you can write it off as just one comment here and there, but there's a lot more than that. And, they are what they are. They're people's thoughts, and they're the way people think, and they're things that people more than likely would be afraid to say to your face, but they're comfortable saying them in that format. So I think that plays a part in it. Anyhow, I've rambled too long. Tell me what you think. Is Lamar being wronged here, or is Lamar in the wrong? Appreciate y'all watching. Keep it real. I'm out.